To discuss that, we're joined by R. Chandrasekhar, Rajya Sabha MP and the founder of BPML Mobile and now Loop Telecom. Rajiv, appreciate you joining us here. Before I take you back down memory lane, let me ask you, do you think Airtel buying Loop is the best thing that could have actually happened to Loop?
I don't know. I don't think I'm in a position to comment on whether it's the best thing that's happened to Loop. But it's a sentimental day for me because it marks about the 20th year of the license that I founded in 1994. So I really have no comments on whether Airtel is the best suitor or somebody else would have been. But good luck to Airtel.
You have no comments on whether Airtel is the best suitor. Let me push my luck and try and get you to comment on the valuation. The rumored valuation is 700 crore rupees. The rumored valuation when you actually sold out was $1.1 billion. You never confirmed that figure. Do you believe that Airtel has bought Loop at the right price?
No, Shireen, frankly, I mean, I'm not ducking the question. I've been so out of telecom for so long, except for making sure
you're ducking the question, Rajiv. You're ducking the question.
No, I'm not. I'm assuming if there is a willing buyer and a willing seller and they've agreed on a price, I'm assuming that they're both happy with the price. I have really no way of adding to that number. I'm assuming, since nobody is complaining, I'm assuming it's a good value.
But what do you think this will actually mean as far as Airtel is concerned? And I know you've been out of the telecom business for very long, but I know you follow and track the telecom industry very closely. What it really gives Airtel is a increased market share in Bombay. Do you believe that this is actually going to be a strategic fit as far as Airtel is concerned?
No, I think clearly acquiring 3 million subscribers, if that's the number, 3 million of Mumbai subscriber is, and in this kind of a business, consumers are often your biggest asset, and consumer loyalty is often the biggest asset that you can demonstrate as a service provider. So if the numbers that you are saying are true, which is 3 million subscribers are being acquired, that is in itself a pretty valuable proposition for a brand like Airtel.
Do you see more consolidation in the telecom industry? There's been a lot of talk about Vodafone being in negotiations and in talks with Tata Tele. Do you believe that now that we've actually got the spectrum auctions over and done with, we've got an M&A policy pretty much in place, we are going to see some serious consolidation, some serious M&A in the Indian telecom business?
No, I think from a public policy point of view, Shireen, from a telecom policy point of view, there are still question marks about competition, there are still question marks about consumer choice. And I think consolidation is not just about how two companies find themselves fitting together or shareholders see value. It's also about the landscape of competition and choice for the consumers. I think recent almost coordinated statements by telecom operators that there is an inevitability in price increases is disturbing, because it seems like, I mean, from what I can see in the public domain, far too coordinated and far too concerted. So the issue. So
you believe the telecom industry, Rajiv, is the telecom industry acting as a cartel today? Because we've heard from Vodafone, we've heard from Airtel, and we've heard from Idea, all three companies saying on account of the hit that we've actually taken on as far as the auctions go, we're left with no choice but to actually hike prices. So do you believe there's a cartel operating within the telecom business today?
No, Shireen, if you followed what I've said in many times over the years, and I have brought this to the attention of the regulators, that there have been evidence, very clear evidence of cooperative behavior, and that's the word that one regulator used because he didn't want to use the word cartel. But that is indeed always a consequence of limitations of competition. Now, it is for the regulator to take note of what each operator is saying, and if they try and pass on the auction prices to the consumers in a concerted, coordinated manner, then that will be evidence of a cartel and not enough competition.
Rajiv Chandrasekhar, you know, in that journey of yours from 1991 to 2004, you know, the difficult period that you actually saw, and a lot of people said it, and I think you said it as well in an interview, that corporate sabotage was responsible for a lot of the sort of ills that BPL had to face, or a lot of the struggles that BPL had to face. Do you believe we've actually moved from corporate sabotage now to cartelization within the industry?
No, look, I mean, I think you're putting too much weight on corporate sabotage. I think my 94 to 2005 experience in BPL Mobile was, it had its ups, big ups, and it had obviously its downs. I think we had to fight not just the market and the consumer and expanding the segment, but also the interest, if you want to call it that, of people who had missed out the bus on the cellular, which is what you call corporate sabotage. That remains fairly intact in the Indian corporate scene. I think when entrepreneurs make it successful, first generation entrepreneurs make it successful, there are always these old legacy companies who start saying, why don't I get a piece of that action? And then try and muscle the entrepreneurs out. And it's playing itself out in many other areas, not just in telecom. So that is, I think, unfortunately part and parcel of the Indian corporate landscape. I hope over time that disappears and there is true and fair competition. But the issue of cartelization is not unique to telecom. When there is a sector where there are 4 or 5 big companies that inherently dominate the business, there is an inherent tendency to fix the rules of the game, if you want to use that phrase. And that is why we have independent regulators to intervene. So I think there is a regulator today, and if there is evidence of cartelization, either the Competition Commission or the telecom regulator will intervene. And they must intervene.
Rajiv, what to your mind would be a fair number? How many companies do you actually see surviving? I mean, you've even got the likes of the Telenors of the world who've managed to get some spectrum in the latest round of auctions. But how many players do you see will survive in the Indian market over the next decade or so?
Shireen, you know, I think some amount of consolidation will happen as the market sort of saturates and penetration reaches 90+%. But you must understand, competition is a function of how effective the regulator is in managing choice and pricing.
Excuse me.
So it's a very difficult question to answer, because I could say that there should be 10 operators and you could say there are 2 operators, because there is a viability versus competition. This is a trade-off, and this is an analysis that has to be made in depth by the regulator. I don't think it's an anecdotal sort of a back-of-the-envelope kind of a discussion, because unless the regulator can guarantee that the consumers will continue to benefit by reducing the number of operators, he must allow competition and as much of competition in the marketplace as possible. But on the other hand, if the regulator can evolve a model where you can reduce the number of operators, but consumers do not suffer the consequences of higher prices or cartelization, then consolidation must be encouraged.
All right, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, we've run out of time here on India Business Hour, but it is a nostalgic day for you as well. The company that you founded is now been sold to Airtel for a rumored 700 crore rupees. We appreciate you joining us here to discuss that deal and, of course, the state of the Indian telecom industry. On that